Welcome to Bound for Glory 2011, episode 111 of Paul Heyman's TNA, and you can see there the match card on screen, as well as everything that went down this time last year. That is the best show we've ever done, and quite simply, the target tonight is to top last year's Bound for Glory and take the number one spot on our top 100 shows of the series so far. Let's see if we can do that as we go into the pay-per-view. And we begin with a video package promoting the biggest show in the TNA calendar. Heavy emphasis is placed on the ongoing rivalry between ROH and TNA, which will culminate in our three-way main event. That has been the big talking point throughout 2011, really. The war between these two companies. Bryan Danielson will defend the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against AJ Styles and CM Punk, a match that has been described as the biggest match possible for any promoter to put on by Paul Heyman. He thinks this is the true test of who is the best professional wrestler on the planet. Introducing viewers to the show after the video package, Mauro Ranallo and Taz are joined by the original voice of TNA, Mike Tenay, for this prestigious show. He's called more events than anybody in the company history, so he wanted him on the call. He'll also help with the match ratings as he is a better announcer than Mauro Ranallo in-game. They promote the upcoming matches on the card, as well as discussing the events of the previous nights, ROH versus TNA Glory by Honor. Most notably, CM Punk became the new Ring of Honor World Champion, defeating AJ Styles. That wasn't the only title change that took place on that show, and the first entrance of the night is an unannounced appearance from the new X Division champion, El Generico. He's joined by Colt Cabana, the man who defeated Tyler Black for the X Division title at Glory by Honor. He enters the six sides for the first time as a champion. Cabana says that Black has got a lot of things wrong recently, but none more than saying that the X Division title would not be at Bound for Glory. El Generico then raises the title, proving Cabana's words to be true. Cabana says that on a personal note, he couldn't be prouder of his friend El Generico, not only for bringing the title back to TNA, but for fighting against the odds that he did. We all saw what happened at No Surrender, but he didn't give up, and he defeated Tyler Black in the middle of the ring. The champ himself also has something to add, as he says El Generico numero uno. As these words leave his mouth, the music of Kevin Steen hits. He grabs a microphone from ringside and joins the two men inside the six sides. Steen says that there is only one way to celebrate this title being back in TNA: defending it. Cabana explains that if Steen had just been a little more patient, he'd have heard that's exactly what they're out here to do, but Steen just tells Cabana to shut up, kicks him in the balls, and gets in El Generico's face. He has just two words for the new X Division champion: challenge accepted, and it is a disappointing way to kick off a new X Division storyline. Steen not doing well without a script, which is very rare, you'd have to say. The nerves of the big event getting to him clearly. Cabana doing well though, so it's not as bad as it could have been. And we go into our first match of the night, an impromptu X Division Championship match. So if you've already bought the pay-per-view off the strength of the card that's announced, the fact you're getting this bonus match should hopefully get the crowd even hotter. And it's a match that had good heat and decent wrestling, and it begins with the aggressive Kevin Steen taking control. We do build to El Generico's big comeback, but it is cut off when Kevin Steen again uses a low blow. He then follows up with a package pile driver for the 1-2-3 out of nowhere. Just 24 hours after El Generico became the X Division champion, he loses it, and Kevin Steen is the new X Division champion. So he built Generico up to that big moment at Glory by Honor, but the rug has been pulled from underneath him just one night later. And after the match, Kevin Steen has a huge smile on his face as his arm is raised, hopefully to a big heel reaction. The commentators put over the unbelievable opening to Bound for Glory, a title that wasn't even set to be defended, a match we didn't even know was going to happen, and now the title is in somebody else's hands. 24 hours after winning this title from Tyler Black, El Generico has been defeated by Kevin Steen, but this is the risk that a champion takes when issuing an open challenge. Kevin Steen, of course, could not be any happier, as Mike Tenay puts over Steen as the perfect example of what the X Division was all about. He always said it in the early days This isn't about weight limits, this is about no limits, and that is a mantra that man embodies. A really good rating for the post-match segment, despite not doing too well before the match. Hopefully something that establishes both El Generico as that sympathetic figure. He had his big win the previous night, but also getting over Kevin Steen as the arsehole that he is. I feel like this Bound for Glory weekend could really be what establishes these two men on the next level, and of course El Generico and Steen are going to be connected going forward. A video package promotes the second match of the night, beginning with the footage of Abyss breaking the neck of D'Angelo Dinero all the way back in July of 2010 on Impact. Never before seen footage of Dinero being loaded into an ambulance is shown, with the reaction of those nearby putting across the seriousness of this situation. Focus then turns to the journey of D'Angelo Dinero back to full fitness after he was told he may never compete in a wrestling ring again. The package puts over the incredible work that the Pope has put in to compete in the ring tonight. However, Bound for Glory sees him face a much different test. He will step in the ring with the monster Abyss, his first match in over 15 months. The only way to close this chapter on the toughest period of his career will be to close the casket lid on Abyss and read that man his last rites. So we opened with that surprise title change, and now we're going into more of a story-based match. The emotion that we've tried to get D'Angelo Dinero over as, again, a sympathetic babyface, and hopefully that's worked as we go into this last rites match, a stipulation which you'd have to say favours the monster Abyss. And in the early goings, it is him who takes control. He's punishing D'Angelo Dinero, the match going all around the ringside area due to the no disqualifications nature of it. There's many close calls. It looks like D'Angelo Dinero is on his way to defeat, but at the last second he can stop that casket lid closing. As expected, when D'Angelo Dinero's looking to come back into the match, Father James Mitchell looks to get involved, only for Rosita to come out, and she stops him from doing that, slapping him and causing him to run away from the ringside area. Dinero is then able to complete his comeback, hitting a DDE from the apron that then sends Abyss crashing into the casket. He is able to shut the lid, and it is that cathartic moment, hopefully an emotional release for D'Angelo Dinero. The two men have good chemistry, but we see the booking there. It was a mayhem match, or was it car crash? Mayhem booking that helped hide how badly D'Angelo Dinero was performing. Understandable, he's had 15 months out. I've not brought him back through any dark matches. This is literally his first match since that injury, so it's fair that he'll have some ring rust. It also shows how the company's kind of moved on since then. A 60 wouldn't have been a cause for concern back in July 2010. Now it's something that definitely needs work. Nonetheless, we get the crowd buzzing with the match, so we can't complain with that. Great heat and decent wrestling, and it is okay. A 66 isn't terrible by any means, but it's just the acceptance that we have work to do with D'Angelo Dinero, and he returns to the ring after the match standing tall. No focus on any of that negativity as the commentators put over what a huge victory this is for him in his first match, as we've said, since he was defeated by Abyss all that time ago. Having closed the casket on the monster Abyss, the Pope has closed this chapter of his life and can now look forward. Back from injury and looking ready for anything. If you can come back and beat Abyss in your first match back, then it bodes well for your future. The commentators asking what is next for D'Angelo Dinero. We then head to footage from earlier today, just something to break up the matches really. The New Age of Honor are shown arriving at the building. The footage also shows the separate arrival of CM Punk and Samoa Joe. They've generally kept a little bit of a distance from the rest of the group. The New Age of Honor have always been a separate entity to CM Punk and his right-hand man Samoa Joe. CM Punk carried the ROH World Championship over his shoulder. The commentators then introducing a recap from Glory by Honor, which showed his victory over AJ Styles to win that title, with the chance to leave Bound for Glory as both Ring of Honor and TNA World Champions. CM Punk could create the nightmare scenario, the worst of all cases for anybody associated with TNA. The commentators say that tonight's main event has taken on another layer of significance as a result of what happened 24 hours ago. This could be the most important match in TNA history, and we're not understating that. I really think that with the claims that CM Punk has made, the idea of him leaving this show with both belts is absolutely catastrophic for this company. We then go into the third match of the night, the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, but after Aja Kong and Awesome Kong make their entrances, the Beautiful People each come out, holding a microphone. Angelina Love and Velvet Sky look to get out of their upcoming title defense, with Angelina revealing that Velvet isn't at 100% and they wouldn't want there to be any controversy. They wouldn't want people to be saying that Kong and Kong only won the titles because Velvet wasn't at 100%. They agree that it's best for everybody if they postpone this match for some other time in the future. Having remained at the top of the ramp, the duo are ordered to ring by the referee, who simply is not buying it. The commentators say that every person competing on the Bound for Glory card has been through thorough medical checks, and Velvet Sky was cleared to compete today. They see through what the champions are trying, as do the challengers, and thankfully as does the referee. So we go into the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, and we carry on basically the theme of Love and Sky wanting nothing to do with these two women. Love's the legal woman at first, but tags in Velvet. Velvet tags Sky back in, and it goes back and forth until Konga's had enough and she takes matters into her own hands. She chases Velvet round the ringside area, and Love thinks that this is the time to try and get a cheap shot in, which backfires. She gets taken down also by Awesome Kong. In complete control of the situation, Awesome Kong brings in Aja Kong, who does much of the same. Love tries to get back involved. All four women are in the ring towards the end, and it is a double powerbomb. I remember this move from Authors of Pain doing it in NXT, where you hit both of your opponents' backs against each other before slamming them into the mat. It's then a simultaneous pinfall, 1, 2, 3. In 3 minutes and 57, we have new champions. Double Kong taking the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Says that Aja Kong was the weak link. That's to do with her overness, and I think being in this team with Awesome Kong, we should be able to cover for that. It's good performances really from Love, Sky doing decently, and Awesome Kong doing very, very well. We do cool the crowd a little bit, but we do need that on this card. Every pay-per-view, or a big pay-per-view, tends to have these shorter matches that sort of serve as a little bit of breathing room for the fans before we go into another big match, and I felt that it was logical booking with how the storyline's gone that Double Kong would just run through the beautiful people, and we could probably add a little bit more to this storyline ahead of the rematch. But for now, I thought keeping it short and sweet and giving Double Kong the dominant debut was the best way to go. Aja Kong and Awesome Kong stand tall in the ring. The referee hands each woman their new Knockouts Tag Team Championship, making very quick work of the beautiful people, who simply had no answer to the power of Double Kong. The two menacing women raise their titles in the air. The commentators put over the reign of the beautiful people. They defeated everybody who came at them, whether you liked their tactics or not. But this duo looks simply unstoppable. Mike, Maro and Taz questioning if there is two women on the planet who could potentially pose even a threat to the new Knockouts champions. They expect a dominant reign from these two women. We then go into a video package for the first ROH versus TNA match of the night, and it's looking really at the full rivalry between the two promotions. It's not just focused on this match, but of course the competitors in this match have been very much involved in that storyline. It's dominated the year. The hostilities between members of these two companies has seen bloodshed, bones broken, and friendships torn apart. Speaking about the in-depth rivalry, a number of pre-recorded talking head pieces there, with Paul Heyman, Steve Corino, Austin Aries, Kurt Angle and Sting all giving their view of the events that have unfolded. Tonight, Team Aries will represent Ring of Honor and Team Angle will represent TNA Wrestling, with TNA enjoying a number of victories at ROH's show 24 hours ago. Pressure will be on the Ring of Honor guys to deliver, just as their leader did at that show when he became the Ring of Honor World Champion, and we want to remind people throughout the night of how significant this main event is, not to take away from this 4-on-4 street fight up next. Something relatively recently in mind, the anarchy in the arena is what I'd like to be sort of the inspiration, I suppose, for this match. Not quite the same, but sort of chaos from the opening bell. No need for a feeling out process. We've not got anybody's theme song playing, but it's that idea of the two factions just going straight into war. Wolf and Joe pair off, the Icon and the Enigma and the Kings of Wrestling pair off, and Austin Aries and Angle pair off, and it's that final pairing where we get one of the big decisive spots in the match as Austin Aries hits Kurt Angle with a brainbuster on the steel ramp. This seriously hurts the former world champion, and he has medics come and attend to him and take him out of the match. He can't compete any further. This, of course, gives the Ring of Honor guys a huge advantage, and they take charge from there. Aries helps Joe take out Desmond Wolfe, which leaves the Icon and the Enigma left with all 4 members of the Ring of Honor team. They do their best to fight back and to overcome the odds, but ultimately it is a victory for Team Aries, and he makes it clear that he wants Jeff Hardy to be the one he pins. The other guys lift him up, and a brainbuster to Jeff Hardy sees Austin Aries secure the 1-2-3. It's a good match, fantastic heat and great wrestling according to the game, and it sets us up nicely for the rest of the big matches on the card. Hopefully we can build on that and regrouping in the ring. Aries, the Kings of Wrestling, and Samoa Joe stand tall. A significant win for the Ring of Honor representatives. The commentators put over the huge concern about Kurt Angle, of course, but we do have to focus on the winners. We will get an update on Kurt Angle as soon as we receive one. Another example of the physical toll that this war has taken on everybody on both sides of it. There is more to come later tonight, of course, as the American Wolves defend the World Tag Team Championships against the Motor City Machine Guns. The weekend will then come to a close as Bryan Danielson defends the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against AJ Styles and CM Punk. We cannot wait for that huge match. Sara Del Rey then makes her entrance ahead of the open challenge that she is issuing and reiterates why she's made it. She begins to talk about her accomplishments since coming to TNA, the longest reigning Knockouts champion in history. Not only is she the Queen of Wrestling, she is also the greatest knockout of all time. When she asks who is going to accept this challenge, Madison Rayne comes out. Rayne says she is not missing this pay-per-view for anything. She accepts the challenge. Del Rey pauses for a moment before dropping Madison Rayne with a single shot to the face. She defeated Madison Rayne for the right to issue this open challenge at the pay-per-view, so of course Madison Rayne can't be the one to accept it. Del Rey throws Rayne to the outside and says that she is ready for whoever is on the other side of that curtain. It's a decent segment, unfortunately losing heat to the storyline just before this big debut, but that's going to be forgotten about as Gail Kim makes her return to TNA. The first thing I'll notice is that a gimmick gets a poor rating. That's disappointing, but it is a good match, evenly contested from the early goings. We want to put over how closely matched these two women are, but when Madison Rayne comes back around, she wants to get some revenge on Sara Del Rey. Gail Kim takes Rayne down once again. She's out of the picture. Later, as Gail Kim looks to take control, Daisy Hayes and Mischief, the stablemates of Sara Del Rey, come out. Sara Del Rey demands that they leave and head back up the ramp. She doesn't want any help. She doesn't need anybody's help. Ultimately, Gail Kim wins the match with an eat defeat, but it's an evenly contested 11 minutes and 52 match. Del Rey with a 63, Gail Kim with a 54, probably because she's not been pushed that well in WWE. She's here in TNA now, and I think her potential is massive. If we can get her a little bit more popular, if we can build some momentum, she can be one of the top level women in this division, like Sara Del Rey and like Mickie James and Tara, who we will see in action later tonight. It's absolutely fantastic to have Gail Kim back in the company that she belongs in, it has to be said. She has picked up a clean victory, her first match back inside the six sides. Despite attempted outside involvement, the match had been competed completely fairly, with credit going to Sara Del Rey for her part in ensuring that. Between her rivalry with Madison Rayne recently and then what she's done in this match, we are seeing hints of a more likeable Queen of Wrestling. The focus, of course, remains with Gail Kim in the ring, who the commentators know will have her eye on one thing upon her return. She will be taking a very close look at the upcoming 6 Sides of Steel Knockouts Championship match later tonight. Before then, we go into the World Tag Team Championship match, and the story of the match is Alex Shelley doing his level best to cover for his injury that is obviously a clear target for the Wolves. It's a highly intense back and forth match, as you'd expect from these two. It gets the same rating as that big 4-on-4 from earlier, so we've seen good matches on this show. We need something great from the main event, but you have to say 79, 79, 85 and 80 from the 4 competitors are brilliant individual performances. We get the crowd hotter, superb heat and great wrestling, so I can have no complaints about this. The finish comes when Sabin and Shelley set up for a Made in Detroit on Edwards, but Shelley kind of struggles to adjust. In that momentary hesitation, Richards stops them from doing it with a kick. He takes out Sabin. Shelley is then crotched on the turnbuckle. He's set up for a powerbomb by Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards with the double knees to the back. So despite this incredible run that the Motor City Machine Guns were on to get this title shot in 14 minutes and 38, they are defeated by the American Wolves. It's under 15 minutes, but it's another one of them matches that we want to go 100 miles an hour from the opening bell, and I think there's not many teams you'd have in that spot over these two. Wolves v Machine Guns is another one of those dream tag team matches, and you'd have to say it is delivered on the big stage. The Wolves are handed their World Tag Team titles following the match, the commentators paying tribute to the run that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin were on in the build-up to this match, and you have to point to how hectic their schedule was. Did that have some factor in Alex Shelley sustaining that injury despite their impressive performances during and after the Bound for Glory Tag Team Series? David Richards and Eddie Edwards just had too much for the Machine Guns. The post-match analysis of Taz suggesting that that injury that was sustained to Alex Shelley just 72 hours ago may have been the deciding factor, but Edwards and Richards won't care about that one bit. It's another win for Ring of Honor on the night. You look at the 4-on-4 and then this, the momentum is very much in the favour of Ring of Honor, and what that could mean is CM Punk leaving with the Ring of Honor and TNA World Heavyweight Championships. We go then into a video package, and it's another one of these talking head segments recapping the rivalry between AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. Paul Heyman puts over what he believes to be the best and most deserving match to main event Bound for Glory. As we said, Kurt Angle v AJ was that match last year, and we've done the same here. There is no better main event in my mind. The competitors themselves share those feelings. For Bryan Danielson, there is a chip on his shoulder. Both AJ and Punk were given the chance to walk out of this weekend as a double undisputed champion, while he's only fighting for his own title. That's pissed him off, and that makes him even more determined to win this match and to challenge the Ring of Honor champion. AJ Styles, of course, has a personal stake, with the future of the company at risk if CM Punk were to walk out with their title. For CM Punk, it is all about the power and control that will come for his cause. He became the Ring of Honor World Champion at Glory by Honor, and a win tonight could change TNA Wrestling forever. It's a good segment, everybody doing well when improvising, plenty of green notes, and we advance our World Heavyweight Championship storyline. Before that though, we have another video package which chronicles the history of Mickie James and Tara in TNA, beginning with Mickie James's debut at this very event 12 months ago, joining Tara and becoming a Knockouts Tag Team Champion on her debut. Mickie James believed that they were as close as two people could possibly be. During a great run as champions, this appeared to be the case until Lockdown 2011, when they lost those titles. Just moments after their impressive title reign ended, Tara attacked Mickie James inside the Six Sides of Steel, a vicious beatdown which terminated their friendship on a permanent basis. The rivalry has raged on since then really. Mickie won the two matches between them earlier in the year and later went on to end the record title reign of Sara Del Rey. As Knockouts champion, Mickie has not looked back, but Tara never took her eye off her former friend. With just one goal left in her entire career, a desperate Tara made one final bid to win the Knockouts Championship. She has put her career on the line for one last shot. Mickie James was willing to accept that, but on one condition. This started inside Six Sides of Steel, and it will end there as well. 1 year on from Mickie's TNA debut, so everything coming full circle. A 1 year story which I did literally have in mind since Mickie James joined the company, this title versus career match. The fact that it's also in Six Sides of Steel means that this is a huge Knockouts Championship match, and it delivers with a 68. Really happy with that. Good heat and decent wrestling, and it's a brutal battle between two personal rivals. We really want them to get as physical as they possibly can. Near falls from both women. There couldn't be higher stakes in this match. Tara coming close to having her career ended on a number of occasions. Mickie coming close to having her title reign ended on a number of occasions, but it looks like Mickie is gonna get the win when she hits a Mick kick to Tara, that move that has put so many women down, but Tara kicks out. Mickie has to then go for the Mickie DT, but Tara reverses it, picking her opponent up and driving her into the cage. Tara then completely loses it. We see that switch flip. It's that flight or fight instinct, and she goes crazy, tossing Mickie into each side of the Six Sides of Steel before dragging her lifeless body back up to hit a widow's peak. She pins Mickie James. 1, 2, 3. That reveals that we successfully got Tara to reconsider her retirement, and she becomes the new Knockouts champion. A huge win for her, a brutal and emotional battle. It's another one of those matches on the card that has such stakes that we want to put over how much this means to her. She risked everything to get one last shot at the title, and Tara has reaped the ultimate reward. She shows how much this means to her. As much as you may not like her, this is of course so important to her. She doesn't take her eye off the title for a second once she receives it. The commentators put over the two competitors who left it all in the ring for the biggest prize the Knockouts division has to offer, and this, in my mind, has been a great night for the Knockouts division. 3 really good matches, and I just think overall, as we move into the focus to the main event, this has been a really well-rounded show. We've had matches like De Niro's win and Tara's win that have the emotional aspect. We've had some chaotic matches like the 4-on-4 street fight, as well as some just pure incredible wrestling matches, Steen v Generico, Wolves v Machine Guns, and for me, a huge main event could top this off as being one of my favourite shows that we've ever booked. I feel like, as Bound for Glory should, it's that variety show, it's that showcase of everything TNA has to offer, and I feel like we've done just that. Before the main event, we get a disappointing segment, to be fair. I thought this could be the thing that had tipped the World Heavyweight Championship storyline up to the next level, but Punk doesn't do well without a script, and yeah, very disappointed in that, to be fair. Mauro Ranallo, Mike Tenay and Taz provide that promised update on Kurt Angle, who we reveal has been taken to hospital, but they hear of something going down in the back. Just moments before the main event, we see that CM Punk has forced his way into the office of Paul Heyman. Punk looks to intimidate the man in charge, standing over him as Heyman just cowers in the corner. Punk says that before he takes their title tonight, he couldn't miss the opportunity to speak with Paul Heyman. He talks about putting his own hand in his pocket months ago, not because he wanted to be some executive of ROH. All he wanted was this. He points at the Ring of Honor Championship, but it means more. It's not just the title. He wanted Ring of Honor's legacy to continue. He claims that Paul could have done this the easy way. He could have handed him the keys and he could have made Ring of Honor a success, but instead, he wanted to take the company away from Punk and everybody else who was ever involved in it. When they both put their own cash into Ring of Honor, Punk says that Heyman signed a deal with the devil by making this main event. Paul has signed TNA's death warrant. Up next, Punk vows to put the final nail in the coffin of TNA as we go into the highest stakes match that this company has ever witnessed. The TNA World Heavyweight Championship match is a 96, so it's a really good main event. No complaints there. Not quite as good as Angle v Punk from last month, but I suppose since that was an unsanctioned match, this is possibly our best match yet. And what more can you say, really? These 3 men going out for 20 minutes to steal the show. They've done that undoubtedly, but yeah, imagine what a match between these 3 would be like, and that's what you get. Coming towards the end of the match as things break down a little bit more, AJ attempts a backflip DDT from the guardrail onto CM Punk, but is tossed into the crowd by Punk. Bryan then takes a huge dive from the ring to the outside. I specifically remember seeing him do this in a match with Nigel McGuinness, but just diving from the ring all the way onto AJ Styles. Punk drags Bryan back over the guardrail, throws him into the steel steps, does a hell of a lot of damage to him on the outside before rolling him back into the ring and hitting a go to sleep. Fortuitously for the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Bryan falls back and heads out of the ring as Punk just takes that second to take in his surroundings. AJ Styles flies in from out of nowhere with a phenomenal forearm. He knocks Punk clean out, and it is a 1, 2, 3 that follows. AJ Styles saves TNA and becomes the TNA World Heavyweight Champion 1 year after his heartbreaking defeat to Kurt Angle. He's not been in a title picture really since then, and now he holds that title when it matters the most. A 90 from Bryan is excellent. A 91 from Punk is incredible. AJ Styles, the worst performer, but still doing really, really well. Gaining heat to that main event storyline, getting the crowd buzzing as you expect, and that is why it delivers with a huge 96 rating. Not so good for the post-match segment, but that always seems to be the case. AJ Styles is handed the World Heavyweight Championship, a huge Huge celebration beginning, ticker tape from the ceiling as we close out our biggest show of the year in the most positive way possible, really. The commentators putting over how much this win means to AJ Styles, how much that means to them, how much it means to the fans, all the locker room. This is about TNA as much as it's about AJ Styles. The most important result in the history of the promotion. AJ Styles has prevented that nightmare scenario that everybody's been so worried about all night with a phenomenal forearm that lays CM Punk out. While this war is far from over, a huge battle has been won by TNA tonight. 1 year on from laying face down in the ring, having failed to become the World Heavyweight Champion, AJ Styles stands tall with the biggest prize that there is, and I just thought Mr. TNA ending our biggest show after what's been a tough year for the company in terms of storyline. Of course, recent months things have just been going from strength to strength. Bound for Glory ends with a ticker tape celebration, a mix of relief and delight in the air. What this means for the future is unknown. We're of course encouraged to tune in to Impact on Thursday for all the fallout from the biggest weekend in the history of TNA Wrestling. My only concern with this show is that we didn't have a killer segment in there. I think it's going to be maybe a 90, a 92, which I believe puts it equal with last year's Bound for Glory. So we'll have to see whether it actually ranks above it in the overall rating. But AJ Styles praised for a great performance. Bryan Danielson praised for a great performance. And I'm actually going to have Punk pointed out as a great example. It could come across a little bit sarcastically here. He wasn't happy with losing to AJ Styles, but he didn't let that hurt his performance. So we'll give him some credit for still going out there and being professional. We'll have to deal with his morale in the follow-up to that match. A huge pay-per-view, and I'm delighted with how everything has gone. I'd say it couldn't have gone better, of course. There was a couple of things in there that didn't quite deliver, but overall, I'm delighted with the biggest show of the year. Excellent feedback, as you'd expect, and we will see where this lies in our top 100 shows. It's third, so not even as good as last month's pay-per-view, but still 3 top pay-per-views there, 92 rating. Absolutely delighted with how that has gone. Our second best match ever, our best sanctioned match ever, and that is Bound for Glory 2011. Of course, the storylines roll on from here, and I say this all the time after big shows, but what we've got planned next is also going to be huge. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll join me next time. Bound for Glory 2011 in the bag, and we go again.